Everyone, I'd like to call this Hammond Redevelopment Commission meeting to order on this Tuesday, December 3rd. It is now 4:30. Can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence after?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you on that. Can we have a roll call on the commissioners?
Merrick,
Here.
Soto Presley,
Here.
Kaspricki,
Here.
Myricks,
Here.
Hopperidge.
Here. For the record, all five are present tonight. Number 3 is declaration of conflict of interest. Number 4, communications.
None were received.
Okay, that brings us to number 5, an approval of NSPEC proposal for exterior wall inspection of the LaSalle Hotel. That address is 5266 Holman Avenue.
Morning, Mr. President. Morning, Council. I'm here to talk to you about a evaluation that we need to do on the Hotel LaSalle. There was a complaint by an adjacent property owner about a portion of the exterior of the building owned by the city of Hammond that was coming off the sides of the building, particularly the south side and the west side of the building. That was the complaint. And so the building department asked that the engineering department find a structural engineer who could do an evaluation on the building as a result of this complaint. And so I reached out to this firm, NSPEC, who has helped me out in the past. They're a very reputable structural engineer company, and they provided us with two different prices, one to do just the south and west sides, and then to also do the east and north sides of the building. And so at this time, we recommend that you go ahead and approve the entire amount of the project to evaluate the entire exterior of the building. This is going to be funded through the TIF, downtown TIF funding. I'll take any questions that you might have.
Why wouldn't we, if we're inspecting the building, inspect all four sides? I mean, why is it broken into? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so originally what we thought was that we would address just the complaint. And so there's the neighbor to the building complained about only two sides. And so we wanted to make sure we looked at just the complaint versus the entire building, because we hadn't received complaints on the other sides.
It seems to me we should do the whole building, just that's what it seems to me.
Thank you.
If you're going to get in there and do half of it, you might as well do the other half.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a two-part condition. The next action item also relates to that. So if you don't mind, if I can just kind of describe a little bit. So the engineer is going to do the evaluation, but we need to hire, and we're considering this professional services, a contractor to build a stage like you would see if you were washing windows, like on a big building, a stage that would be lowered down the side of the building in different sections of the building, so that the engineer could find the area, chip away at the area that was a problem, and then the contractor would also be there to make any patchwork that would need to be done during that process. So we looked at that not necessarily as a construction contractor activity, but more of a professional services, because they're there really to assist the engineer to do what he can do, and he doesn't have the equipment to do that staging work. So it's kind of a two-part.
And not included in the 23,000?
No, it's not. The second part is by Hassey, and that is on a time and materials basis, because we don't know how long this is going to take. And so we also thought that we would evaluate the process and how long it was taking to go through, and if we recognize that the prices were just getting out of control, we might limit the scope to maybe just the two sides that were of the complaint.
In layman's terms, are we talking tuck pointing, or is it?
It's not tuck pointing, because what we're looking at are some CMU blocks and some pilasters. So if you notice, sections of the room stick out a little bit, that's a pilaster on the exterior of the building. So every so often you see this smooth concrete bump out in the wall, and that's chipping away and peeling away in certain places, and some of the block is falling down, not block, but pieces of the concrete are falling off.
A correctable issue.
Yes, so what they are going to do is they're going to remove the loose material, evaluate what's happening underneath, if there's some sort of water damage that's causing the problem, or some seal that needs to be put on, and then they'll remedy that specific area.
How old did we say that that building was? How long has it been there?
We didn't. It's one of the older buildings.
Is it says in the agreement, doesn't it?
Wouldn't
says
the
in
age
the-
of the building have something to do with the necessary first aid that the building would receive?
The age of the building would have a lot to do with the condition, how it was constructed, and how, if there was any weatherproofing or waterproofing that was installed. And we'll know that more when we can see what the damage is. I thought somewhere I read that what the date of the building was, but it's not in the proposal.
I mean, to me, I'm speaking out loud here, approving the 23,000 seems quite simple to me, but are we adding a number to that for the scaffolding?
Correct.
Do we know what that number is?
No, we do not. It'll be on a time and materials basis. So we'll be keeping track of what they're doing and how they're doing it, and we'll use the engineer's notes for how long they're out there doing the work. And they've provided us with a rate sheet of the work that they would be doing, so they would only bill based upon the rates that they're providing now.
As I said, I mean, I looked at the rate sheet, but it doesn't.
We can't quantify, and any contractor would not be able to quantify the amount of work because it depends on where the engineer does what he does, and then what repair might have to be made if it's just a simple coating of the material of the face of the building.
But as a board, how open-ended is this approval? I mean, like I say, I think of course we need the safety of the building checked. That's not even a question. And if they need scaffolding, they have to do that. But when we go, or if I go to approve this, how do I say 23, 3 plus whatever?
I guess my suggestion is you make an authorization of an amount not to exceed, and then if more work needs to be done, then we would come back to this board.
That's kind of what I was looking for. I was looking for a number on that not to exceed another 10,000?
Oh, no, I would say more in the 25 to 30,000 range.
So if this total, if we said we'd approve this, and I'm thinking out loud here, commissioners, not to exceed a total of 50,000, so that's an additional 26,700?
That would get us started, right?
Be a starting point.
If that would make you feel comfortable, that would be a way to do that. But keep in mind, the contractor can't give you a price because he doesn't know what he's going to find.
I understand, but keep in mind, I have trouble proving a price I don't know.
So I have excuse me, but so they're not able to give us a quoted estimate?
No.
Of their probable
It might be nothing.
work that will take place?
We can hope it's nothing.
Well, it's going to be something
I know,
because
but
they
it
have to
might
build
be minimal.
staging
It
to
might be
bring the
minimal. It
guy.
might be minimal is what I'm saying.
But Dean, you'll be in communication with them
Yes.
on a regular basis,
Yes.
correct? So,
So then don't we have a set amount that we can approve now, and then if it goes beyond that amount?
Well, if that makes the board feel better, right, you would set
Then
an
we-
amount not to exceed.
We do it,
Right.
yeah, or,
And then we would come back to this board and say, well, we could only get one side of the building done because,
We need additional.
yeah, we need additional funding to carry on, or I would work with your director and
Now, are we comfortable with a $50,000 number total, including the 23? To start, I understand.
I can't
know.
say.
I'm trying to.
My professionals are telling me that they can't quantify it,
Right.
so.
I'm not comfortable giving a $50,000 limit if we don't,
Not to exceed.
yeah, because I mean, how do you know if that's, how do you know that that's not too much?
We don't.
Okay.
well, I think,
So then bottom line, whatever it takes to finish the building, to fix it, then is gonna be down the road what we wind up
Well,
approving.
we own it.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
We do own the building, and I think it's important for us to remember, at the point in time we purchased the building, there was another owner, so we don't know what work was done prior to, and I feel it would be safe to say maybe they didn't do certain repairs that were needed to the building. So now, because it is our property, we want to make sure, as you stated, the building is safe. The city engineer is going to oversee the project, so they're going to be in constant communication. I understand where you may be a little leery as far as approving something, but if he approves it on today for a not to exceed amount, he will be in constant communication with them. If it appears that it'll go over, then you can always ask him to come back and say, okay, prior to us paying this amount, we needed a complete scope. So if he sees that the cost is far outweighing what you've approved, then he can come back before this board and say, this will be the scope of work. We could either stop here and just repair, as he stated, one side, or we can do the entire building. But he would be very aware of the entire scope of the project throughout the entire project.
So I guess where I'm a little bit foggy is that we don't have, like in my house, I have my budget that I pay my bills with. I have a budget that I have set aside for when I need, like, things repaired on my house, you know, that may break down, and I go to my budget, and it's not to exceed a certain amount. So do we have anything like that for this?
We have the hourly, they broke
We
it
have
down.
T&M rates
We have-
to do the work, but I don't have a firm number because there's no way for me to be able to provide that to you at this time. I mean, if we were going to construct a new wall, that we could, you know, in a simple area, we could figure that out pretty easily. But we don't know the condition of the wall until we get up close to it. I mean, I was asked to go look at the wall, and I'm not a structural engineer. I went and looked at the walls. Yeah, there's some pieces falling down. To me, it doesn't look totally hazardous, but the likelihood of pieces falling is there because it is an older building. And the likelihood of somebody maybe getting hurt is always there. So we're just doing the best we can, and in fact, we're reacting to a complaint. And I would just urge the commission to understand that we really, if we don't do anything, that would be unacceptable. We have to do
I would say
something.
that something definitely needs to be done. I think we want to make sure all our, you know, that we're doing things.
I want you guys to realize I'm about to motion to approve this, virtually knowing he's coming back with change orders.
Well, so you have two
So-
actions in front of you. You have the inspect action, which should contain the cost, and the HASI proposal that,
So you're also then going to come back just as you will let us know about the progression of money that we're going to be needing for the repairs, you'll also let us know if we're under budgeted.
yes, of course. Yeah, if you set aside 50,000 at this point,
So
for
we'll
the
basically
combined amount
receive
of.
a report at almost every meeting
So
so that we know what's going on.
I would suggest that this is not the best time to be starting this work right in December.
Then, yeah.
So we are subject to the weather. So I can't tell you that you should expect a report from me at every meeting because we may have no progress. And it may be that we just don't have any progress, right?
Yeah.
But this has taken us quite a little bit of time to get to this point, and so here we are, and I ask for your consideration.
In the interest of safety and customer complaints and citizen complaints, Mr. President, I move for the approval of inspect proposal for exterior wall inspection of the LaSalle Hotel, 5266 Holman. In addition, not including the 23.6, but not to include $50,000 at this time, without further update.
So,
Not to exceed.
Not to
Yeah.
exceed, I'm sorry.
so you're combining 5 and 6 together with that motion. I would ask you, just go ahead and approve the inspect proposal for the 23,000 and change, and then we'll take the not to exceed with number 6.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of spec proposal for exterior wall inspection for the LaSalle Hotel, 5266 Holman Avenue.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. That's for the approval of NSPEC proposal for exterior wall inspection of the LaSalle Hotel at 5266 Holman Avenue. Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Merrick,
Yes.
Total Presley,
Yes.
Caspergy,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Poppridge.
Yes, motion passes, 5 yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Number 6 is the other part to this, the approval of HASI proposal number 19423 for building stabilization patching of the LaSalle Hotel at 5266 Holman Avenue. So if you want to entertain that motion with the amount, that's where that would need to take place.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of HASI proposal. Guys, I don't have I don't have good glasses. 19423 for building stabilization, patching of the LaSalle Hotel, 5266 Holman Avenue, with additions not to exceed $50,000.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. That's for the approval of HASI proposal number 19423 for building stabilization patching of the LaSalle Hotel at 5266 Holman Avenue with the addition not to exceed $50,000. We have a roll call on that, please.
Merrick?
Yes.
Toto Presley?
Yes.
Tesbricki?
Yes.
Myrick?
Yes.
Pawbridge?
Yes, motion passes, 5 yes.
Thank you.
And I think, I don't know that it's necessary that Mr. Button appear at every meeting, but if he would communicate with Africa and myself so that we could advise the commission, hey, there was no progress in these 2 weeks, or, hey, here's where they've gone, I mean, I don't.
Exactly.
As much as I like seeing you, Dean, I don't know that we need to have you at every meeting, as long as there's some
Starts
communication.
using big words and stuff, I agree on it.
Yeah, when you have an update and then,
Give it to me and I'll
If it
report it
came
to the commission.
We can only do one wall instead of 2 or something, that would need to come.
Sure.
before. So, but I mean, certainly we
Right.
trust the due diligence of going to staff, and we don't need to hear about every brick that they replace.
I'm sympathetic to the board's position. You want to know what's happening when there's information that's that's
It's just
a
for
higher.
transparency.
For sure, absolutely. Thank you.
thank you, Dean.
Thank you.
All right, number 7 is approval of change order number 4 for Dowling Park Fields parking lot construction project.
Thank you, that's me again. This is the Dowling Field parking lot, change order number 4. This was as a result of poor soils that could not be expected. We had done some soil borings in the area, but we recognized there was going to be some urban fill, particularly where the old FOP property was, but we didn't get borings everywhere, and so there were certain areas within the site that showed up that we had poor soil conditions, and we needed to put special fabric down to bridge over those poor soils at 2 locations. The change order request is an increase in the contract amount of $13,433.46 for a total contract price of $1,018,985.29. I would ask for your blessing on this and would take any questions you might have.
How close is it, completion of the park?
So basically landscaping is left. All the surface asphalt is down. All of the city project required concrete work is completed. All the striping is down with some exception on the, I should say there's a little bit of asphalt on the bike trail that needs to be done. So the landscaping is going to be the big item that needs to happen in the spring, some tree planting, some grass planting, but for the most part, it's completed.
Are we okay with this?
Just the fact that this is change order number 4 on a parking lot. I mean, we're up 20% up over $1 million now. At some point, and I know for a fact we've done soil samples, I mean, how do we miss 20% on soil samples? That we keep having
Well,
to add new stuff?
no, that's, so the soil, bad soils is a very small fraction of the 20%. I don't know if you remember, but change order number 1 was a significant change order, and it related to the excavation quantities that we couldn't agree on with the contractor. And so that was the biggest part of the overall increase. This increase is is pretty insignificant. I mean, we're talking about 1%. And it's really, so I don't have X-ray vision, right? I can't see what's happening under the ground. None of our contractors do. So when they come to a condition, basically what happens is we go and bring a big truck out full of material, and what we call proof roll the site. And if it's bad conditioned, if it's bad soil, we have to dig that out and make it right. Otherwise, we're going to lose the parking lot. And so we had to do this. And in fact, we'll have another one coming up later, a similar condition in another area, among other.
Again, we didn't see, but okay. Yeah.
But it's an unforeseen condition, right? I can't speak to buildings. I can speak to roadway work. But roadway work, once you get out of the underground, you're pretty safe in terms of what change orders you might have. In this case, we knew there were bad soils. We didn't know to what extent. It could have been much worse. We tried to contain it to as much as we could, and this is where we are with this change order.
I made the statement many times, we need to get it done, I agree, it's just, my brain doesn't accept it that easily, but I understand that we need to finish this project and make it go away.
Yeah, Mr. President, I make a motion for the approval of change order number 4 for the Dowling Park Fields Parking Lot Construction Project.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor for approval of change order number 4 for the Dowling Park Fields Parking Lot Construction Project. Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Merrick,
Yes.
Toto Presley,
Yes.
Kaspricki,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes, motion passes, 5 yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 8's our reports. Staffer Katarva, would you like to share anything?
Yes, members of the commission, I have 2 events to discuss tonight that will actually be taking place on the same day, 2 different parts of the city. We first have in the downtown area the Holiday Fundraiser in Artist Alley, which is $40. All proceeds will benefit the Toll Theater and the Paul Henry Art Gallery. It will be December 6th at 5:30 p.m. This event benefits 2 long-standing Hammond neighbors, which are Toll Theater and Paul Henry's Art Gallery. As you know, we just had Jeff Speck here to sort of give us a downtown plan. But one of the things that HDC noticed was that we don't have a lot of people coming to the downtown area now. So what can we do initially to try to let people visit some of the businesses that are already there? So they came up with the idea of let's do a fundraiser that all the proceeds will benefit those 2 long-standing businesses. So for $40, you'll get a viewing of Miracle on 34th Street, a live musical radio play. You'll have hors d'oeuvres, appetizers. They have non-alcoholic holiday beverages, but for 2 tickets, you can get alcoholic beverages, and they'll have Christmas carols and an entry to a raffle. So that's one event that we will be having this Friday, December 6th, beginning at 5:30 p.m. The other event that we will be having, and I know we discussed it at the last meeting we had, was the Hessville Holiday Extravaganza on the corner of 165th and Kennedy Avenue, where they'll have Christmas caroling, the craft market, dancing. Your kids can meet Santa Claus, and they'll have holiday cheer right here in Hessville. So we have 2 exciting events taking place in the city of Hammond. So
What was the date and time on Hessville?
they're both on the 6th, and Hessville will be 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And I believe
And Paul Henry was 6?
5:30, and I believe it ends at 9:30.
And the event is actually at Paul Henry?
It's actually, you'll go to different spots. So you can start off in Paul Henry, then you'll go across, there's an alley. So they'll have light streaming to sort of encourage people to go into the different businesses. So then you'll have an opportunity to go to the Innovation Center, and then you can end at the Toll Theater watching their first performance. So it's a way to try to encourage people to visit the downtown area and to support the Toll Theater as well as Paul Henry's. Oh, and as you know, thank you so much. And on Saturday, we have the City of Hammond's annual holiday parade, beginning at 8 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, I'm sorry, beginning at 10 o'clock.
I think that starts at Gavitt and ends at the new Sportsplex.
Correct, and you can take pictures with Santa Claus at the Sportsplex.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Tarver.
Thank you so much.
Okay, number 9's our bills, register of claims.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to pay the register of claims for November 7th, 2019 through November 26th, 2019. Register of claims R58141 through R58216.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second for the register of claims. That's dating November 7th, 2019 through November 26th, 2019. That's claim R58141 through claim R58216. Is there any questions or discussion on these claims for staff? Okay, roll call on the claims.
Merrick,
Yes.
Little Presley,
Yes.
Hasbricki,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Hopperidge.
Yes, motion passes. 5 yes. Okay, I believe we have one item that got moved to new and unfinished business, but it's an approval of change order number 5 for Dowling Park Fields parking lot construction project.
Mr.
Dean
President,
Button.
Commissioners, thank you. Here again to talk about change order number 5 for the Dowling Park Fields parking lot addition. There are 3 components to this change order. One is an additional area of bad soil conditions that we found in the southernmost parking area. So this was after we had found the original poor location. They just hadn't gotten to that work yet at the time. The second item relates to addition of stone, they call it Indiana number 2. It's like a fist-size stone for erosion protection around, I believe it's 2 drainage structures on the site. So it's just really so we had originally planned to put grass in that area, but we're worried about erosion because of the grades in that area. So we think that Indiana 2's was the better option at that location. And then lastly, the design had called for the east roadway for drainage purposes to be exceedingly high. And so we added additional material to shore up the curb on the backside, on the east side, kind of near or north of the soccer fields. So there's an additional fill quantity that we needed to basically shore up the curb at that location. The change order is about 1% of the contract amount, which the change order is $10,809.97 for a new contract amount of $1,029,795.26. I would just also say that when we contemplated this project, we budgeted about $1.2 million for the project. So all in with construction, engineering, and geotechnical services, this change order puts us at $1,076,669.76. So we're still about $125,000 under budget for this particular project. I would recommend your approval of this change order, and I'd entertain any questions you have.
Does it finish it, or is there still
So there'll be
more research to be done?
There'll be a balancing change order. At the end of the contract, we balance the quantities on the project. I suspect at this point that we'll come in with a decrease amount on the total overall
How about
contract.
the parking lot? Will this finish the parking lot?
So we still have the landscaping work that I mentioned earlier. But the parking lot is completed. The concrete work is all done. Most of the striping is done, a little bit of the bike trail and some landscaping. But in terms of cost, I'm going so far as to say I expect you to see a deductive change order in the end of the project. But I'll know that more when we get the final quantities in.
So right now, we're 10% of the budget, 10.2, something like that.
Yeah, well, so the overall contract amount is, or the change order amount's about 20% total, maybe a little bit more. This is only about 1% of the contract amount.
Right, Right, but I'm just saying, so based on what I'm seeing, we're 123,000 under right now.
Yeah.
Total, so that's 10%.
Yeah, we're 10% under budget. Yeah, under the forecasted amount we had set aside for this project.
So even if you spend another 50 grand, you still be.
Don't tell him he can spend
I
more.
didn't say he can spend it, I said even if, he still be under.
Yeah, we believe.
I read the line, he made that was the first paragraph, I know.
Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it.
Can I go forward with this? Are we good? Okay. Mr. President. I am so sorry. Mr. President, I make a motion for the approval of change order number 5 for Dowling Park. What are we doing? Dowling Park Fields Parking Lot Construction Progress by NIES Engineering.
I second that.
I'm sorry, you had me cracking up.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. If there's no further questions or discussion for our city engineer, Dean Button. Let's have a roll call then, please.
Merrick,
Yes.
Toto Presley,
Yes.
Hasbricki,
Yes.
Myrick,
Yes.
Hawbridge.
Yes, motion passes 5 yes.
Thank you again. Good
Thank
evening and
you.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, number 11 is public comment. Anybody like to come forward, you may do so now. Public comment is open. You have 3 minutes, you can speak. Okay, public comment is closed. Number 12,
Mr. President, I make a motion to adjourn.
I second that.
we have a motion and a second. Can you all signify by aye? Aye. Ayes have it.